What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got a sweet one for you today. All right, so here's what we got today. This is a cotton candy pan, I guess you'd call it. And it's for a cotton candy machine, and this is where the cotton candy goes around, and then you take the stick and you build it up on the stick. Smaller stuff like this I usually don't record, but there's some good stuff on this one that I think would be good for you guys to see. And the reason I decided to record this one is because one of the challenges that this one presents is I've got this little teeny bracket here that welds onto this pan. And there's three little tacks and it's broken off. You can see those little brackets. So one of them's broken off. This is a fairly thin stainless steel pan. I need to weld this back on, and it should be a pretty simple repair. But the problem that this poses is, hang on, here comes the kids on the go-kart making a bunch of noise. Whoa! Look who's driving. Are you driving?
Yeah.
Are you?
Dad, you're on the bus, you're not working.
Yeah, you were spinning out, weren't you? Is that fun?
Yeah.
The reason this poses some complications is because it's really thin material. And if I go welding this bracket back on, stainless steel does what's called sugars. If you weld it and you get it too hot and it's not shielded. So something like this, if I weld this on and the inside of this is not purged with argon, it will sugar, no pun intended, on the inside. And when I say it will sugar, it crystallizes the steel and it gives you this big ugly gray crystallized nodule that is not going to look good on the inside of a cotton candy machine. Here's my plan. I'm going to take some shrink wrap and I'm going to put this on the bottom, and I'm going to seal the bottom of this. And then the top I'll probably tape off. I'll run a purge hose inside of it and I'll fill this chamber with argon. So I'll purge this with argon, and then when I tack this up, I should have shielding on the outside and the inside, and I'll be able to tack these back on. While I've got it, these tacks are teeny. I mean, we're talking these tacks are teeny. I mean, I'm talking like less than 1/8 of an inch teeny. So while I've got this, I can see that this one's bent. That's cool. While I've got this here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to beef these tacks up just a little bit for the customer. I'm already purging it. It's only going to take me a few more minutes to just add a little bit to these so that he doesn't break the next one and have to bring it back down. So I'm just going to do him a solid and see if I can bend this one back, reinforce the tacks on them, and hopefully it doesn't sugar on the inside. So let's go ahead and get this wrapped up, taped up, purge hose inserted in the chamber. All right, guys, so the camera battery died in the middle of there somewhere, but I did get this all sealed off. So I'll just show you what I got. So I did use shrink wrap, a couple layers there on the bottom. So it's good and sealed off, or at least good enough, it should be. And then for all you haters out there that can't stand it when I use frog tape, this is for you. So I used frog tape to seal the top off. I'll poke a hole and I'll run my purge hose in here. Now, there should be enough positive pressure there that it will leak out of the small holes that are in the shrink wrap or out the top, which we want. We want it to have positive pressure to where it pushes the oxygen out and just leaves the argon. So that's what we're shooting for. So I'm going to roll a bottle of argon over here. I'll put my purge hose in and I'll let it run for a minute or two before I ever start welding, just to try to purge all the oxygen out of this chamber. Once I do that, then I'll start welding on these. Now, I was looking on the inside of the chamber and it does look like there's some small hairline cracks from where there's been pressure on these brackets. I don't think that I can flip it over once I'm done and weld those cracks from the inside. I'm hoping that it penetrates enough on the outside through the steel to where it will fix itself, where it will fuse the crack on the inside. The problem is if I pull all the shrink wrap off and I flip it over and I weld those cracks from the inside, then it could sugar on the outside. So I don't want that. So we're just going to hope that it works out. If they do have a little bit of bleed through where those cracks are, I'm just going to have to clean it up with a little scotchbrite pad, and it's just going to have to be what it is. So that's my plan. So I'll get the purge hose hooked up. Once I get to that point and I get ready to weld it, we'll come back and we'll go from there. All right, guys, I do have my hose put in here. I think I got it sealed off pretty good enough. I do have a little teeny hole poked in the top. Argon is heavier than air, so that should push the air out through that hole. And I can tell that there's some pressure on our shrink wrap here, so it must be sealing up fairly good. I can feel it coming out of this hole, so that's good. That must mean that the chamber is sealed. Now I'm going to take my ground clamp, because I don't want it trying to arc through the table to the part through our shrink wrap. So I'm going to take the ground clamp and I'm going to attach it gently to one of these brackets. It's been running for a couple minutes now, so I feel pretty good about trying it. I am going to grab my little scotchbrite pad on my Milwaukee die grinder and I'm just going to clean up. There's a little bit of rust under these. I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. So I don't want to get rid of the tacks because that tells me where this needs to go. I just want to clean up the little bit of rust that's underneath there. I am going to use a brand new blue pad. That's the most mild flavor that I have. Okay, so I still know right where it needs to go. So now I'm going to grab my hood, my gloves, and we'll see if we can get a tack on this. I am going to use, I don't know what grade of stainless this is. I've looked all over and I can't see anything on it. So I'm going to use 316. Typically, if I don't know what grade it is, I'll always try to pick a grade higher because I don't want to pick a grade lower. So I'll use 316 and it'll just have to do. I am using 16th on my rod thickness. I've got a number 10 Jazzy cup with a gas lens on here and I friggin' love it. We do have about 5-second post flow. I'm using 332 tungsten. Here we go. I'm gonna see if I can get just a tack on this without using filler first. Here we go. Whew, that is thin material. Goodness. Okay, so I've got, boy, I can see that little crack there. Okay, so I've got 2 tacks on this. I am gonna beef those tacks up. So I'm gonna add some filler now and see how this goes. I'm trying to be extremely gentle with my pedal. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn my welder down to 80 amps just so I can feather it more. And with something like this, whew, you're going to get a lot of distortion if you're not careful because it's so thin. And I can tell I got a little bit of distortion there. There's not much I can do about it, and I can smell burning sugar, and that's kind of fun. So I'm gonna see if I can get some bigger tacks on these other two. And then you want to make sure and hold your torch on it. Let that post flow work after you get a tack on it. Goodness, we're getting some wicked distortion here. I can see why the tacks were so small. So what I'm doing is I'm ramping it up as fast as I can to get it to where it will melt, give it a tack, and then back off really fast. Just try to not put more heat in there than I have to. And it is working. I'm also rotating. I'm putting a tack, then move to the next one, then putting a tack, then move to the next one. This one definitely has the most distortion. This is a tricky one. If this works out, I'm hoping to get some free cotton candy out of the deal. I'm a little scared to try to bend this one back, but it's not the first time I've been scared to bend something back like this. So, what the heck? I'm just gonna be as gentle as I can. Oh yeah, that wasn't bad. Okay, these all look good. So, I'll show you guys the distortion we've got. It's not terrible, but to be honest, what I'm most nervous about seeing is the inside. I don't know what the inside's gonna look like. I'm hoping our purge worked the way we want it to. Here goes nothing. We're gonna pull this apart, flip it over, and let's see what the purge looks like. Let's see if the purge did its job. Okay, so it didn't sugar, but there are some tack marks inside. I'll show you guys, but it didn't sugar. So I think the purge did its job. It sucks that there's marks in it now, but that's just kind of the risk you run when you do this sort of repair on some stainless steel that is extremely thin. So I'll show you guys what we got. So hopefully you can see that. But everywhere where we tacked, we did get 3 little tack marks. It didn't sugar. If it sugared, it would be crystallized and it would have these big ugly looking nodule things. So that's what we got. So it's not going to hurt the operation of the cotton candy, I don't believe. I don't think that's going to matter. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up with my scotchbrite pad, and we'll see what it looks like after. That's really loud. Okay, so here's what they look like on the inside. I'm trying to decide if I need to buff those flat or not. I don't believe that that's going to mess with the cotton candy operation. I did just want to show you guys that's what they look like. The outside, you can see I just put 3 little tacks on those. There is one little spot right here that did get a little distorted, but I'm hoping that it'll still work the way it needs to. I'm probably going to call the customer right now and just see if they're good with these tacks being left in there or if they want me to grind them flat. If we leave them, it'll probably be stronger. So I'm going to see what they say and see if they want them left or if they want me to grind them flat. If they do want me to grind them flat, I'll get a more aggressive pad on here, or I've even got a sandpaper disc that I can put on there, and I'll grind those down to where they're close, and then I'll just hit that with my scotchbrite until it's buffed pretty much flat. So I'll call the customer, see what they want to do, but that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. So it was a quick one, but it was kind of tricky. Stuff like this, really thin material, is always a challenge. You definitely want to be careful with your heat, and with stainless you want to make sure that you have proper purging so that you don't sugar the inside of whatever you're welding. So just thought that was some good information. Hope it helps somebody out. Appreciate you guys watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you on the next one. I'm going to leave you guys with some highlights from a recent hunt that I went on. I did draw an archery tag this year, and me and my dad went down and had another really successful hunt. Had a good time, made some more memories. So I'll go ahead and leave you guys with those highlights. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.